Margrethe of Denmark had the ultimate mic drop moment of 2023, going out with a bang by announcing her abdication. And the next day, the Danes had their traditional New Year's levee and banquet event that they attend. And of course, there were tiaras there, and it was an exciting moment to see what the future Queen Mary of Denmark will bring to the table. So we're going to talk a little bit about the tiaras, a little bit about the fashion, and what the future may hold for Mary in terms of tiaras. I cannot wait. So let's begin by talking about actually Queen Margrethe's sister. So this is Princess Benedict, and she is wearing her family's fringed tiara. So this is her husband's family. And I will butcher this, but she has quite a long name. It's the Saint Wittgenstein Bergelberg fringed tiara. Yes, that is a mouthful. So it was made by a coach in 1905 and was given to Princess Madeline of Lowenstein, Wertheim, and Friedenberg by Prince Richard of the same original three-word last name that we already went through that I will not repeat again. And it was given to his grandson, who is also named Richard, who Benedictine married, and it can also be taken off its frame and worn as a necklace. And I gotta say, she looks quite lovely there in the sequin outfit. I think she looks pretty fabulous. And in fact, all the ladies of Denmark, so Queen Margrethe, her sister Benedict, and their sister Queen Anne-Marie of Greece, also all went on to marry pretty established royal families. So they have quite a great lineage there. And next we have Princess Marie. So she is the daughter-in-law of Queen Margrethe, and so she is married to her second son, so Prince Joachim. And I actually looked this up recently, and Frederick and Joachim are only actually a year apart in age, which I found very interesting. And so she is wearing a repeat dress that she has worn before, and this dress is by Rick Gunz of Copenhagen. And it seems like re-wears were on the docket tonight because Crown Princess Mary and Queen Margrethe both re-wore gowns, and she's also pairing it with some Jimmy Choo heels. So her and her husband now live in Washington, D.C., and many people think that the subtle, slow pushing out of Joachim and Marie and their family, so their children were stripped of their princes and princess titles last year and were instead entitled counts and countess, was actually part of the whole plan to announce the abdication. So this was a slow process that the court was undergoing. It'd be interesting to know, I think, if Joachim and Marie knew that or not when they were originally told that their kids' titles were going to be stripped. I think that would be kind of interesting to know. Anyway, so she is wearing the Princess Dagmar floral tiara, like she wears every single event. She has essentially one tiara. Now she has one that she has been loaned and she has worn, and another one as well, but really she wears this one all the time. Denmark, unfortunately, it once had a large collection, but the former Queen Ingrid decided to leave the jewels to many of her children as well. Unfortunately, what this means is that there's less for the main line to choose from. And unfortunately, Prince Joachim's first wife, Alexandra, ended up walking away with one of the family's historic tiaras after they divorced. Because of how Queen Margrethe lent her the tiara, she ended up getting to keep it. So that's why you have to be careful about the language you use around giving your tiaras to your daughter-in-laws, just in case the worst should happen. So this Princess Dagmar's tiara was obviously named for Princess Dagmar. She was a Danish princess, and it was perhaps made in the late 1800s, early 1900s. And so she ended up marrying a commoner, Princess Dagmar. And so because she married a commoner, her children could not inherit any royal titles. And so she ended up giving this particular tiara to the main line of the family, which is a great gift considering there just aren't that many in the main line of the family. I'm just thinking that Crown Princess Mary and Frederick have 4 children, and so there'll perhaps eventually be 4 women who need tiaras within the family, and there really are not that many to go around, to be honest. So they may have to buy more tiaras like they did for Mary. I do like her dress. It's not super exciting, but it isn't bad either. Okay, so next we shall talk about Queen Margrethe of Denmark, and she is wearing a gown. I believe it was one that she wore for her 50th Jubilee just a couple of years ago. She has reigned for 52 years, and so she is wearing her Pearl Portier tiara, and this was a wedding gift to Princess Louise of Prussia in 1825 on the occasion of her wedding to Prince Frederick of the Netherlands. You would think Denmark, You would think Denmark, but the Netherlands. And so it was eventually inherited by their daughter, Princess Louise, who is married to Crown Prince Charles of Sweden. And the lines between Sweden and Denmark are very, very close. So Charles and Louise's daughter, Lovisa, married Crown Prince Frederick of Denmark, and so it became part of a set. And I think she looks lovely here, and you can really see as well to the reason why she has made this decision. She's really having a hard time getting around anymore. She's had apparently 2 knee replacements. She had back surgery last year. She has been a lifelong chain smoker, so I think a lot of health issues are beginning to catch up with her. So it makes sense to make this decision. And it is wonderful to see her make it, and also so exciting to think of the new queen and the tiaras that she will wear. And Crown Princess Mary did not disappoint. And she's worn one of my favorite gowns. I have always loved this gown. This has been the 5th or 6th time she's worn this. And I love it. She actually first wore it while pregnant and then kept reworking it. And it is a stunning burgundy velvet gown. I love the simplicity of it. I love the deep burgundy. I have a soft spot for burgundy. I love burgundy. I love pink and I love burgundy. And I love this richness of the fabric. And she did have a hard time getting out in the rain with the heaviness of the fabric. I'm sure she didn't want to get the dress wet because I'm sure wet velvet really, really drags. So she had a bit of a tough time with it because it looks like they were getting quite a lot of rain. So it was made by Brigitte Hallerstein Couture. And again, I think this dress is flawless. I love it. She did have a choker. She wore one instance in it, which I did not like. I prefer it this way. The choker was also made with velvet, and the brooch that she is wearing at her waist was in the choker. And I just wasn't a fan. And you'll notice as well, all the ladies are wearing this rather grand necklace with this gigantic elephant on it. The highest order of chivalry in Denmark is the Order of the Elephant. So that is what she is wearing there. And she's also wearing, personally, my favorite tiara. And this one I feel like is so grand, and actually I think should not even be just relegated to just the Crown Princess. I'm sure Crown Princess Mary will continue to wear it well into her tenure as Queen of Denmark. And this is the Danish Ruby Tiara. It's part of a whole set with necklaces, earrings, brooches, and also some hair pieces as well. And this tiara is quite old and has this fantastic history with Sweden and Denmark, because the original iteration of this piece that came together was purchased by Jean-Baptiste Bernadotte for the coronation of Emperor Napoleon for his wife Desiree to wear. And he eventually became King of Sweden. So the Bernadotte family that currently is the reigning royal family in Sweden is actually originally from France. So several of their pieces also came from the court of Emperor Napoleon. And so the original set of jewelry consisted of a necklace, earrings, and a large corsage brooch. And so Desiree actually probably wore these pieces while she carried Josephine's veil and handkerchief on a pillow into the procession in Notre Dame Cathedral. And now, how awesome would it be if for some event in France, it was arranged for Crown Princess Mary to wear that entire set with the older historical pieces? And I think the tiara is newer within the set, or it was, they took part of what they originally had and created the tiara. I'm not exactly sure, it wasn't clear. But how awesome would it be if she wore that into the Notre Dame again? That would be so, so cool. And I would love to get good close-up pictures of these pieces. We do have some great video and everything from a documentary Denmark did several years ago. But just to see the wear and age on the gems, I think is just so, so cool. And the old cuts that you get with that. And so this piece came to Denmark in 1869 with Princess Lovisa, who we talked about earlier. And so it was eventually inherited by Queen Ingrid, so the mother of Queen Margrethe. And she was the great-great-great-granddaughter of the original owner, because Ingrid came from Sweden, obviously the Bernadottes, and so the Bernadotte line continues in Denmark as well. So she made alterations and left this piece to Frederick for his bride in 2000, which was the same year that Mary and Frederick met. Mary then has changed it to fit her head better, and she has perhaps made it grander. It used to kind of go down the hairline more, but she's sort of more bunched up the leaves and berries more on the top of her head, which I feel like gives the tiara even a grander appearance. I personally like that a bit better. I know some people were very frustrated that she decided to amend it to her taste. But I think that's sort of the fun of the jewelry, is to change it to your taste. Not in a bad way, just recognizing that, hey, I don't like this particular way. It doesn't fit me quite as well. Let me change this up. And I am so excited to see her as the future queen, because Denmark has some interesting pieces. They should have more. I'm really hoping some of the other daughters of Ingrid, so Benedict and Anne-Marie, who inherited pieces, give some of them back to the main line of Denmark. Ingrid really shouldn't have done that. I mean, I know it sounds harsh, but what happens too is when these pieces go to other family members, oftentimes what ends up happening, if it's not in a trust, there's also not a trust in Denmark, which there should be. I hope Crown Princess Mary creates one. That way the jewelry belongs to a trust, and whoever is queen or king usually controls that trust and who gets access to what. But what it does is it protects, or like a foundation or something, it protects the jewelry pieces from being hit by a bunch of inheritance taxes, which usually end up meaning that the jewelry is sold. And I'm against that, because I think the jewelry should remain where it can be worn and seen, and protected from being perhaps broken down further, going into a vault and never being seen again, and all these sorts of things, because all these pieces represent part of the history of these families. And so to lose them, I think, is a huge, huge loss. And so here are a couple of the options that we will see for Crown Princess Mary once she becomes Queen of Denmark. I'm sure she'll still have to battle Queen Margrethe for some of these pieces, but I'm sure there'll be an understanding of who can wear what when. So we have the Baden Palmet tiara, which has this sort of heart-shaped design. It's okay. I'm not super excited about it, but that is an option. That could almost be a starter tiara too. It's not too grand. We have the Danish Emerald tiara, which is actually part of the crown jewels. And so I'm super excited to see Mary in this piece. I think she'll rock it. It's just gonna be fun to see how she plays with it and makes some of these pieces her own. I don't think she can mess too much with the emerald set, just because it is part of the crown jewels, but it'll be fun to see somebody else wearing it. One of the more interesting pieces is the floral aggregate tiara. So this one like circles the head, and so it's a very large piece. So I'm curious how Mary may just take portions of it. Maybe she'll do like something that wraps her out. Like, I'm super interested to see how Mary in particular wears this tiara. Now there's two that could be quite interesting, and I want to say maybe they'll look better than they did on Queen Margrethe, because Queen Margrethe has both of these tiaras. They are actually gold tiaras, and gold and gray and white hair just don't really go together. So I'm interested to see with Mary and her dark hair, how they might be able to look different. So we have the golden poppies, which is more of an artistic piece, which is, it's kind of ugly. So maybe it could be put on a frame and created into a more like normal looking tiara. I know Queen Margrethe, she I think helped design this. She's very creative, but no. And then we have the Nosut tiara, and this is one created, I believe, by Greenland, and it has, again, this very strong gold motif. I think it is quite pretty. It just, I would be interested to see how it looks on Mary. I just wasn't a big fan of it on Queen Margrethe. We also have the Pearl Bruyere tiara that we recently saw on Queen Margrethe at this event, so that will be one that perhaps is within Mary's purview. And then we also have the turquoise daisy, which could definitely be a starter tiara, maybe for one of her daughters. And that is basically all Mary might have access to. It is really quite a shame that, again, the Danish tiara has been so whittled down in recent years, because two of these tiaras are actually new. And so we really only have 5 historic pieces here, but I cannot wait to see how Mary makes these her own. So let me know what one you are most looking forward to seeing Mary in this coming year. And there will not be a big event for this. Basically, they'll just go out on a balcony and the Prime Minister will proclaim Frederick king. So we may not see Mary doing something really unique and interesting until maybe a first state visit or something like that. We shall see. But guys, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and I look forward to seeing you again soon. Bye.
We don't count the carats, we count the centuries.
Bag disse kostbare